What do whiskey, flagpoles, and a 6-1 smackdown have in common? They're all shaping Canada's week, from trade fights and national jitters to highs and lows on the ice and court. Coming up, a Raptors statement win, a Leafs reality check and roster questions, wildlife concerns in the GTA, and two premiers sparring over Crown Royal. Plus, why some Canadians think the U.S. could take direct action against us, and how that unease is playing out from snowbird condos to oilfields abroad. Weather at the end. Let's start on the hardwood. The Raptors set the tone early and never let up against the Pacers. Brandon Ingram poured in 30, drilling clutch threes late to shut the door. Scottie Barnes was everywhere, 26 points and 13 assists, bullying mismatches and picking apart the Pacers' defense. Off the bench, Gradey Dick notched his first career double-double with 21 and 11, giving Toronto exactly the punch they've needed. Rookie Collin Murray-Boyles impressed on the perimeter and chipped in offensively. Toronto sprinted out to a 39-18 first quarter, shot 72% in that opening frame, and controlled it from there, even as Pascal Siakam tried to drag Indy back with 26 and 10. That's the blueprint. Start fast, stay connected, and let your playmakers close. On the ice, the Leafs just got a hard reset. A 10-game point streak, 8-0-2, ended with a thud in a 6-1 loss to the Utah Mammoth, their worst margin of the season. Afterward, Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Matthias Mikeli said what fans were thinking: not good enough. Head coach Craig Berube called it a flush game, the kind you file and move on from quickly. They'll need to. The trip is brutal. Altitude, travel, a high-tempo tilt with the Avalanche, and now a date in Vegas, where they'll see Mitch Marner for the first time since his summer sign-and-trade. That one will be emotional and a serious test. Zooming out, Toronto's crease continues to be a juggling act. 3 goalies under contract for the next 2 seasons sounds comfortable until roles blur. Joseph Woll has earned the number 1, and he's shown more upside than Montreal's Jakub Dobes across the 401. Anthony Stolarz is the veteran with odd splits this year, and Dennis Hildeby is a big, promising AHL recall, not seen as the heir the way Jacob Fowler is in Montreal, but intriguing. The question isn't just who starts next, it's who this team is in front of them. That ties to skater deployment. With John Tavares' offense not at its peak, there's talk about sliding him to the wing to spark lines and zone entries. There's also chatter about revisiting a Braden Shen deal if the right price materializes, and William Nylander's value was underlined by his recent absence, then underlined again the second he returned and tilted the ice back Toronto's way. The loss in Utah stings, but the broader theme is clear. The Leafs are retooling on the fly, balancing contracts, development, and a playoff push. 2 troubling wildlife incidents have authorities investigating. In Whitby Harbor, multiple Canada geese were found dead or dying, with no visible trauma. Officials suspect avian flu, and the carcasses have started drawing in other wildlife, raising concern about disease spread. In Toronto's Parkland Cemetery, a deer was discovered killed with an illegal arrow. The Ministry of Natural Resources is asking for tips. The field point arrow suggests the shooter wasn't a licensed hunter. Recovery logistics have been tricky due to the site, but conservation officers are working to retrieve the animal. If you saw something, say something. It's hard to overstate the community's distress on both fronts. Nationally, flags and whiskey found their way into trade crossfire. In Washington, Manitoba's U.S. Trade Office has 3 flags ready, 2 provincial and a maple leaf, but no flagpoles. The catch? Tariffs that would basically double the cost of installing poles, making the hardware as expensive to ship as it is to buy. Their trade rep is now hunting for alternatives to show the colors without getting dinged by duties. It's a small story, but a striking snapshot of how tariffs ripple into symbols of identity. Meanwhile, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew is urging Ontario Premier Doug Ford to reconsider pulling Crown Royal from LCBO shelves after Diageo announced it's closing a bottling plant in Amherstburg, affecting about 200 jobs. Ford says it's about protecting Canadian jobs and cites past retaliations, like the LCBO ban on U.S. alcohol under Trump-era tariffs. Kinew's counter: we should be Team Canada against external trade pressure, not fighting each other in the aisles. Diageo says it's keeping operations in Canada, shifting production to Valleyfield, Quebec. Crown Royal is distilled in Gimli, Manitoba, with Canoe emphasizing that plant and its 76 jobs remain in place. The question for Ontario is a boycott leverage or a self-inflicted bruise on a Canadian brand? If that feels tense, you're not alone. A new survey finds 1/3 of Canadians believe the U.S. might take direct action to control Canada. That's a staggering number, reflecting anxieties about geopolitics, trade, and the volatility of our closest relationship. You can see that unease in softer ways too. Some Canadian snowbirds say they feel less welcome down south and are rethinking their winter nests. Sherelle and Dan Wallace are shifting to Baja California. Others, like Nick and Pamela Nicolais in Apache Junction, Arizona, can't bring themselves to sell because decades of winter memories are hard to uproot. And on the global energy front, Canadian workers and companies are eyeing Venezuela. With U.S. intervention changing the landscape, some see openings to service that oil sector. It's a high-risk, high-uncertainty play, but the interest is there. At the same time, millions of temporary residents in Canada face permit expirations this year. Many have built lives, careers, and community ties. Without renewals, they can be forced to leave or slip into undocumented status. It's a policy knot that intersects labor demand, housing, and basic human stability. Before we go, here's today's Toronto weather. Temperatures between -13 and -9 degrees Celsius with snow. That's it for today. If you've got thoughts on the Crown Royal debate, the Leafs crease conundrum, or how you're feeling about the Canada-US relationship, leave us a voice note. We'll feature a few on tomorrow's show. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with more local, national, and the games that keep this city buzzing.